Hello and welcome to United for Good. I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia. As always, our thanks to the West Virginia Library Commission and the Library Television Network for allowing us to be part of their programming. We're excited to be with you. Just want to give you a little bit of update on our United Way before we introduce to you our very special guest today, somebody from our United Way family that we're so excited for you to meet. But just as a reminder, this is our regular annual United Way campaign season. So if you see this and you've maybe gotten some mail from us asking for your annual contribution, or you've been at a workplace that we've come to visit and talked about the United Way, we certainly hope that you'll consider making an annual contribution to our organization. I can just remind you that 37 different programs will benefit in 2024 from your donation, from our funding. All of those nonprofits in our 6 county footprint of Kanawha, Putnam, Boone, Logan, Clay, and Braxton counties. So if you get that mail, we hope you'll open it, and we hope that you'll take a minute to take a look at our work, see what the value is to your dollar. We know everybody works super hard for what they make, and we want to help you understand that your contribution really goes far, because we put all those dollars together truly united to make the biggest impact we can in the communities that we serve. And it's actually what we're going to be talking about today with our guests. So you're going to hear just a little bit more detail about that in a second. I also just wanted to give a quick reminder that as we approach the end of fall and begin to think about the winter season, this is our time when we collect coats. And so we have a coat rack outside of our United Way office, and there's a little sign that says, if you need one, take one. And we love it when people donate coats. So if you're cleaning out your closet before winter, if you get a new coat for Christmas and you want to donate your old coat, just give us a call at the office, or bring it by and say hello and drop off your coat. You don't even have to come in if you don't want to. You can just hang it on the rack, but we'd love to see you and say thank you. It's also Socktober, and as we go into November, if you'd like to collect socks or shoes for the United Way, this is a busy time of year. Schools partner with us on our Equal Footing Shoe Fund, and so they reach out to Carrie Cooper, our Community Impact Director, often referred to as Carrie the Shoe Fairy, and they give Carrie a call or a text, usually early in the morning, from schools, primarily elementary, that let us know that we have a student in need of a new pair of shoes. Typically, those shoes get delivered the very same day. No tags, no receipts, just placed on those children's feet and ready for them to play and work and not have any kind of peer pressure, and just feel really safe and comfortable in a new pair of shoes. So if you'd like to talk to us more about a shoe drive, about collecting socks or coats, blankets, or other warm or cold weather items that we use through that winter season, give us a call, reach out to us, look at us on Facebook. You can always find more information on our website at unitedwaycwv.org, and follow along with the things that are happening at our United Way. And we're going to talk about the fundraiser part on the back end. So without further delay, I want to introduce to you our guest and the newest member of our United Way family, Katharina Fritzler. Welcome to the United Way.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
So excited that you said yes to the United Way. And for those of you who may not know, we had a staff person who'd been with the United Way for about 20 years, and that's a challenge sometimes to fill those shoes and to replace that person. And we are confident that the very right person came through our door and has been with us since April. So Katharina, first, before we talk about what you do at the United Way, tell us a little about yourself and where you came from and how you found your way to Charleston.
Well, originally I'm from a very small town in Virginia called Amherst County, and it's very similar to a lot of rural towns in West Virginia. So I grew up with the love of the mountains and the water, and really just wanting to be in a natural surrounding. And so I started coming to West Virginia every weekend to rock climb at the New River Gorge, and I thought, well, why don't I just get a job there and move there and make a home there. And everybody has been so warm and welcoming. It's been about 7 years since
Nice.
I've been here, and 3 houses later, I think we found the right one, and I plan to stay here for the long haul.
Great. And your background's in social work, so I know that you did that for the state of Virginia before you came here.
I did. So I worked in protective services for about 7 years. And then an opportunity opened up with Girl Scouts, the Black Diamond Council, and I was really excited about that because there is a need for education, especially in young women. So when I was offered that position, it was a no-brainer. And then about 5 years into that job, I was ready to grow and found my way to United Way.
And we're so glad you did.
And when I walked through the doors, I was just like, this is the place I want to be, and I hope they give me a second interview.
And we surely did. And so Katharina's job is our community investment director, and so that's what we kind of titled our show today is, you know, that United Way is a good investment in your community. But let's start with how do nonprofits find their way to United Way funding, and what's that look like?
Well, it's on our website. We do have information at the website Margaret mentioned, but you can also call me at 304-340-3521, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation. But we also, when we're out in the community and we're talking to people, it's a good way to get that message out there. And we have a pretty extensive process, and it's not a bad process, and it's not a hard process. It's just to make sure that we are being accountable to our funders and donors to make sure we're investing in the most evidence-based programs and solutions for our community needs. And the first step to doing that is to go through our letter of intent process. And if you're a returning program, you're going to still resubmit that letter of intent, and then you'll get invited to apply for the grant. If you're a new program, you'll go through a review process, and you do get really good feedback. And if we find that you align with our mission and our impact areas and you fall into our footprint, you're invited to apply as well. And then you move on to the full grant stage. And that's where the fun really begins. I always wish I had known about this when I moved here, because I would have loved to have done this as a volunteer. We get our grant applications in, we review them as a staff, and then we have volunteer CPAs that analyze the financial health of the nonprofit and programs that are applying, because we want to make sure that when we give those donor dollars to these programs, that they are the healthiest that they can be.
Yeah, my mom used to always say you don't want to throw good money after bad, right? So we want to make sure that our programs that are receiving funding from our United Way, and many of you as donors, that we're doing the very best we can with our donor dollar. Talk a little bit about the impact areas and what those are, and so people would know if they wanted to apply.
So we have 4 impact areas: education, financial stability, health, and safety net. And under those impact areas, we have little buckets too that you need to fall within. One of them is basic needs. We do see a lot of grants for that. Safety net is our biggest category that we do fund. And then we have childhood readiness and education up through 3rd grade. We have programs that help kids in foster care get a great education and go on to apply for colleges. So there's a lot of different avenues to meet these categories, but ultimately the program does have to align with that.
And we're so lucky, and I talk about this a lot. I came from United Way of Southern West Virginia, which is where I grew up, and we both have that love for the New River Gorge area. But I think it's just telling that the Valley, the Kanawha Valley, and the Charleston community and our 6 counties just have such a strong nonprofit footprint, right? I mean, our applications are strong. You already talked about, they're based on case study. We know they work. They are successful in whatever their mission is. And we're just really blessed that when we're able to look at those applications, know that we're going to be working with a partner that's really strong in their area, and more than funding, right? So, I mean, talk a little bit about Day of Caring, as we just came off of a great big day of an event, but just the connections that we're able to make through more than funding resources.
So, wow, we had about 18 new agencies that joined us this year for Day of Caring. So I just want to point that out. Overall, Day of Caring is when volunteers go to work at a nonprofit or human service organization that meets a need in a community. And we got creative this year because we had so many volunteers. We had over 1,000 volunteers, which was amazing. So we were reaching out to the World Scouting Museum and Camp Appalachia to fulfill some needs. And the volunteers will show up, they'll complete a project, and that can include landscaping. It can include painting, filing, packing meals, working on a butterfly garden, which was really cool, painting our literacy paths, which was done at one of the housing complexes in Charleston. So there's a lot of room for us to make those connections. And what's great about that is the volunteers also get to see the work that's going on in the community and make that connection as well. And Margaret can attest to this because she's been here a little bit longer. But a lot of those volunteers will return to those program sites and continue to give back. So it's really about establishing those connections through those good deeds.
Yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. So just so you know, for future reference, Day of Caring is always the third Wednesday in September. So we just finished up our September 23 event, sponsored by Encova, and we're excited to say they're going to be doing that again next year. So if you see the show and you're like, gosh, I need to make a note, I need to reach out to Katharina and let her know that our company or our organization would be interested in participating as a group of volunteers, or you're that nonprofit and you really would love some help to landscape or to work on your trail or to work on your building. We had power washing at the United Way. We had shrubs dug up. We had all kinds of stuff done that many nonprofits just simply can't take the time or the money to do on their own. And so this one particular day just really gives everybody access to some help and some great resources. Excuse me, some great resources. And Katharina's right, so I'll tell you a quick story. I've been had a chance to spend some time with Appalachian Power Company folks and share our United Way story. And their task was to go to Camp Appalachia, which is in Putnam County, and works really hard to support foster kids and really kids of all sizes and shapes. And so they didn't quite finish their project on Day of Caring. And as I was there this week, they wanted to make sure and let me know that they went back the week after and they completed their project. And you can adopt kids for camp, and they're all excited to be able to do that. So many of those people, they said it, you know, when I was with them, didn't even know Camp Appalachia was there. And from where we were to the call center to there was just a few miles, just minutes away. And so it's a great way to connect to the people around you, to the nonprofits around you, and to learn more about how they serve our community. And I'm so glad you did such a great job. And for your first year, like, hats off to you. That's not an easy task to match up 1,100 people to go out and have a good day, right? And do good work.
It was an interesting V, but it was one of the best moments, I think, that I've had this year with United Way. And it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to work for United Way, because I love volunteering. And when I read that this position kind of oversaw that, I was like, oh, I want to be a part of Day of Caring. I want to help that movement. And so it kind of brought my dreams come true.
Good. And so I always have to ask one tough question that I don't prepare our guests for, but I don't think it'll be too hard for you. But so it's what, been just almost 7 months, I guess, that you've been with us. Of that time, what's your favorite part about the United Way?
Oh my gosh, the stories. There's not, anytime I'm in the field or I get a phone call from one of our funded partners or somebody that had a Day of Caring project, we always have a heartwarming story that goes along with it. And so it just makes you feel good to know that we are making real change in the community and that we are meeting needs and finding solutions. And it's good to have a job that you can go home and feel good about at the end of the night, but it's the story and being able to be part of that storytelling process.
I love that. It's the stories for me too. And so I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. If you're watching this in the next couple of days, you might see us roll out a new project. And so our United Way is starting a grocery store on wheels. We call it the United Way Mobile Market. It's a great partnership with Kanawha Valley Rapid Transit Authority and our friends at Unicare and our friends at Cabin Creek Health Systems to make sure that people have access to a grocery store. So it's not a food pantry. People will have to pay, but they'll be able to pay just like they do at a grocery store. We'll be able to accept SNAP benefits. We'll be able to take check, cash, or credit card. And we're super excited to be able to get this project on the road. It's something we considered right before COVID started. We had funders ready, and then became really difficult to continue the project until we were post-pandemic. So we're excited that we're receiving a vehicle donated by KRT. We're working with ZMM Architects to redesign what the inside looks like. It'll have coolers and freezers, and people can find us very soon on Facebook when we'll be in a community near you. And I have to say that, when Katharina mentioned, when we're talking about needs assessment, this mobile market was based on a need that we saw in Clay County particularly. So Clay County, of the 6 we serve, of the 6 counties that we serve, doesn't have an active grocery store. And so for folks in that county, which is pretty rural and pretty large, excuse me, they have to travel sometimes an hour, hour and a half to their local grocery store, local Walmart. And so for us to be able to come to their community with just the basics, it's not going to be Kroger where you have 100, choices for cheese. We're going to just do the basics, but you'll be able to come and kind of restock your pantry in between those long and large trips to the grocery store or to Walmart. You'll be able to get fresh bread and cheese and milk and eggs and the things that you may not be able to get at some of the other like dollar stores, et cetera, that are in the community. So we're super excited to roll out the mobile market. Look for that on a road near you. We hope by spring of 2024, after its remodel is finished. But I tell you that story just to give you an example of when we say we're gap fillers, right? So sometimes that gap is filled directly by a service that we provide. Sometimes that gap is filled with money. So when the organizations apply for funding, and Katharina and her team on our own community investment committee start looking at it, that gap that they have for a really great program that could impact a whole bunch of people is money, right? And so talk a little bit about how your team decides, how we as staff don't decide, and don't have anything to do with the actual funding acceptance or the amount, basically. We tell you how much you can give away based on how much we raise, but other than that, it's based on the application, the request, and then your team does a lot of work.
So this is one of the things that is really special about our grant process is our donors are our reviewers. So they come in and they read the applications and they do an analysis. They work as a team to go over any questions, concerns, or highlights that they have about that application. And what also makes this really special, it's not just looking at numbers and what's on a piece of paper. They actually go to the site and they get to meet the program directors, board members, the executive directors, and they take a tour and they learn about the program, and they have that tangible visit where they can see the real live work being done. And this is great because sometimes it's exceeding your expectations, and then sometimes they go there and they have, suggestions that will actually make the nonprofit thrive a little bit more. And in other cases, there have been board members to come from these reviews. So it's really has a wide scope of what it's doing, but it's that hands-on, tangible component that I think makes it special. And then they come back and they have a conversation amongst themselves by impact areas, and they go over each category, and they talk about anything that might, as I said, be concerning or might be special about that nonprofit. And they also look at the finances too. So we look at what is the need. So just because you ask for $50,000 doesn't mean you may need that money, but there may be agencies that ask for less but need more. And so they also take that into consideration. And so they work as a team to decide that as citizen review teams. And then we have chairs that come together as an entire group that look at all impact areas, and they make an assessment based on the amount that we have fundraised. And that's why it's so important that we continue to push funding, because the more money that we generate, the more reach we have.
Can't do one without the other.
No, you can't. And they sit down and they have, they are very passionate, and they negotiate for every penny that these nonprofits get. And that was so awesome to see in person. And they're really thoughtful. And they are looking at those outcomes, and they are looking at those finances, and they are looking at those site visits up until the very last second that the decision is made.
Is there a limit to what people can ask for?
There is. We start funding at about 5,000, which is our minimum, and then we go up to 50,000. And like I said, just because you ask, you may not get it, because sometimes we have to be very creative with the money that we also get. So like each nonprofit that we're funding, we try to be as fair, reasonable, and creative too.
And I think, you know, what we've learned is that our partners really have come to understand that. We're trying to make every dollar go as far as we can, and that we support our nonprofit partners not just with money. You know, sometimes that is volunteer support, sometimes it's you going over to visit and helping with some other needs. We celebrate their successes. You know, we recently got to spend some time with Gabriel Project as they were celebrating an anniversary of their organization. And so we're, I think, we try really hard to be good partners, and it's more than just the money. And I don't want to run out of time without talking about outcomes, because for me, so I'll just say this: when I give money away, and we all work hard for our donor dollar. And if you're blessed enough to be able to make a charitable gift, no matter what the size is, and know that feeling that you get when you're able to do that. For years, I couldn't. And when I found out about payroll deduction and people could let me do payroll, you know, take $1 on my paycheck, I thought that was just the best thing that ever happened to me, because I could become a charitable donor. But then I'm so nosy. And so then the next question became, what do they do with my money, right? And how do we know for sure that if you're saying that you do this, X, whatever that is in your program, how do we know for sure they're doing that, so that I know as a donor that I not just feel good, but I can sleep good knowing that they're spending my money wisely. So how do you know that?
Well, one of the criteria that we have when applying for this grant is that you have to have some sort of system of measurement. So you have to be able to show that you are collecting this data, and that the money that we're providing is actually going towards and meeting the outcomes that you have promised us. I always say it's like investing in a retirement fund. So we are investing in the nonprofit, and that's the retirement fund for our community. But we need to see some increases in that. And when we see those increases, it's because they have a great measurement system in place, and they're able to prove this consistently. It's not just a one-time thing. We have nonprofits that come back year after year, and they're constantly improving their measurement systems. So we get a bigger picture of seeing the successes, but also sometimes the increased need that we maybe wouldn't see without these outcomes.
And you help them if they're, because outcomes are kind of tricky, and people don't always know how to provide them or what they're counting. You know, we always say you can't count it if you can't measure it, right? So I can't tell you how many meals I served if I don't count how many meals I served. And so as you help them and coach them, that's value that they can apply to another grant. If they're applying through another organization, we often say if you can write a successful United Way application, we've hopefully prepared you to write applications through other bigger foundations and organizations that can also support your work. And so those outcomes are super important.
They are. Success isn't just for us on the outcomes, it's for each nonprofit being able to extend their reach into bigger grant pools of money, so they can provide more services. We're just a small drop in the bucket, but as we help them grow and improve and tell their story, they're able to go for bigger grants like the Benedum Grant, and meet a greater need and fund pilot programs and try new things. And we're only going to see that trickle back down into the community.
So you like your job?
I love my job.
We love that you love your job.
I probably talk about it way too much in my personal life, but I love United Way. It's a great organization, and I can't believe I get to work here.
Well, so that's how I feel. Tell everybody it's the best job you ever had, and you know, I think we all stumbled upon it for different reasons. Before we get ready to wrap up, I just want to share with you that if you think you would love to work for the United Way, we have a couple of openings. Doesn't happen very often. We had one of our team had a baby, and I can't even believe she'd rather stay home with a baby than come to work every day, but that apparently is a thing. And so we have an opening right now for an adolescent health coordinator. It's a grant-funded program that we we love and cherish. Our adolescents have never needed support more than they do right now. It's a great way to partner with school-based health clinics and expand if you're like a health educator, or if you're a social worker like Katharina's background, or you're just somebody who really loves kids and wants to be able to support them through a nonprofit work. We would love to talk to you, so you can reach out to us again through any of our social media sites, Facebook, on our website. Give us a call at the office. We'd love to set up a time to talk to you about that. And then the second piece, and I think Katharina can attest to you how much we value these folks, but we're looking for an AmeriCorps member. So if you're not familiar with AmeriCorps, it's a service to an organization. So you get a stipend. It looks and feels like a paycheck, but it's not a paycheck. It's a stipend for the hours that you volunteer at an organization. And our AmeriCorps members at the United Way help us with 211. So if you've ever seen me talk before, you've heard about West Virginia 211, you know that it's a number you can call for help and resources, how to pay bills, how to get help with rent, how to find housing, et cetera, et cetera. You can reach out to 211 24/7, 365. But through the day, our AmeriCorps members are a team of call specialists that help answer those calls here in Central West Virginia, and we would love to talk to you about that. It looks great on a resume. You have to be 18 and you have to be like not dead. It's basically the age group. And we would love to talk to you no matter how old you are about how you could be a part of our AmeriCorps service team and what that looks like for you. And there's lots of benefits. And in the best part, and I don't know if you know this or not, but we have, because we've had the longest LifeBridge AmeriCorps program in West Virginia, is at our United Way. We've had many people who started out as a member doing that volunteer service for a stipend who now work for us and have worked for us for a number of years. So I think last we counted there were 8 or 9 or possibly 10 people out of a very small staff that started as AmeriCorps members. And you see them every day. You hear them every day because they're right across from your office.
Yeah, and they are hardworking women that we have right now. And I will say, if you join us, you're going to be working for one of the most passionate teams.
Well, and it's a family, right? That's how we feel. So if that's the kind of work environment you'd like to have, our office is located in Charleston. We're on the corner of Court and Smith Street, right around from Capitol Market. We have free parking, so that's a bonus perk for working at the United Way. There's lots of free parking, and you become part of a family that cares about you, and will care about you as much as we care about the folks outside of our door. I did mention I would talk about fundraising really quickly, so I'm going to point to the duck and remind you that the Great Rubber Duck Race will be happening. I know it seems like forever from now, in July as part of our stern wheel regatta here in Charleston, but ducks are on sale now because we want to double our duck sales this year. So last year we dumped 5,000 ducks off the Southside Bridge. Our goal this year is to dump 10,000 ducks off the Southside Bridge. These are rubber ducks, not real ducks, so don't get excited. And we collect all those ducks back out of the river, so no pollution to the river. But if you'd like to buy a duck, we would love for you to do that and get on our website, and they're $5 and you get a chance at first place duck. So they literally swim. Katharina was there, right?
Yeah.
They swim under the bridge and we catch them in this big boom, and then we give away a $4,000 prize. So it's a great time.
It is, and it's cool watching them drop off the bridge. It's fun for everybody.
It is fun for all. So go adopt your duck today, and until we get to see you again next time, again, I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia, Katharina Fritzler, our newest team member and our guest today, and again, our thanks to the Library Television Network. Until we see you again, have a great day.
Thank you.